So I upgraded my 3D printers with the silent board, and I have the original stock boards. I wanted to know if I could reuse them for projects or something, and I've been using like the ESP32s and Arduinos. This one is an ATmega 2560, and so what I did is I hooked it up to the computer. I couldn't find too much information on it online of anybody like repurposing them, so I came up with my own way to figure out what the pins are hooked up to, so I can reuse this board. So I went into Arduino, went into the board, chose the Amiga, and burnt the bootloader with a different tool. And that basically erases this chip and lets you put on just a stock firmware just to run this chip. And then I made a little code to figure out what the pins are. So I push this to it. And if I run the monitor, whatever pops up, there we go. So it'll tell me currently what pins are being pressed. So now I can move this jumper around that's grounded. And if I hold the button, it'll pop up and say which pin is now grounded. So now I know that is D37. And so I can probe all the points on here and figure out the pin out for this here. So if I stick it on this one here, this one actually says on the board, some of them are written. This one's A15, D12. So I can check if it's right. If I hold the button, now it shows here, pin D12 is grounded. So I made a little schematic for this and it shows the whole pinout. And this is a schematic I've been making, so I got a picture of the board, and I've been making a pinout, and then later I'll share this for everybody else if you want to reuse yours. But I've mapped every single pin, so you can write your own Arduino code and reuse this board. And so now if I hook up a motor, I hook up a battery just to give it power, or else there's no power to this pin. It actually goes through here, through a MOSFET that's under here. So these 3 ports take whatever power you put in here, up to 24 volts. So right now I'm just feeding it 3 volts. There's a motor, and then I have a button on one of the jumpers. And so when I press the button, it spins the motor and it blinks the light. So if I disconnect the motor, I can just make it flash the light. So now you can reuse this board.